Hi, welcome. We are here for another episode of Backwoods Progression with me, Bronwyn Kenku. It is nasty out. It's not. It is raining, but not the kind of rain we need. So last week, I did a bit of clearing, and I meant to walk back through, pick up some of the stuff I cut down. Totally didn't do that. And I'm just trying to speed this up because it's a little... I do a lot in this video. It's a lot longer than my usual ones, twice the length. So we're going to speed through this. If you want to see it in a little bit more depth, you can check out last week's video. So it's hard to do things. We all have busy lives. We're all doing the best we can out there. And it's not to say that I was lazy or anything. I definitely did stuff, but it wasn't in the back. It was closer to home, little closer bits. We had some other storms, so getting out hasn't exactly been priority number one. My cat hurt her back leg, so she's been really lethargic lately, and I want to be a bit of a helicopter parent because that's who I am. I care. So it's sure been a week. I cannot get over my playthrough of Stray Gods yesterday. That game's fantastic. It's really interesting in making your choices matter while not having true different endings. It's super interesting. Well, like, I suppose it's weird. Worth a play. Highly recommend. Check it out. To be as minimal in spoilers as possible. But it gets into the concept of fate and like luck and things. And I always think about prophecy and being a person who had weird deja vu moments growing up. Like, I kind of assumed it was prophecy or like some little like future sight that I'm gonna get into later, and I did for a lot of it, but it was all mundane. Like, none of it really mattered for my life. It was just gonna be like, you're gonna do this. Your story keeps going. And for a long time, that kept me going in a weird way, to know that my story wasn't over quite yet. So it's amazing just how faith can be so powerful. It's unfortunate that Christianity, of all things, took over as the number one main faith in this country, because most Christians don't follow their own doctrine, and I hate that. Like, if you're gonna get very anal about people in gay relationships, you better not be wearing mixed fabrics. You know, like, there's a lot of... You better not have loans with interest. You know, like, there's just so many things where it's focusing on the facts that suit your discussion rather than taking the thing as a whole. It's... because I don't mind Christianity as a faith. It's fine. If people followed it to the T and turned the other cheek and did exceptional things for the poor, exclaimed that the poor are closer to God than any rich man ever will be, or it was a horror something, I don't know, but all the same, it's rough. Been dealing with a lot of people not understanding just how severe some things are. So I'm aggressively against Chick-fil-A, Harry Potter lady, all of her work, and Hobby Lobby. To some extent, Blizzard. But they're in a separate category. That's a different reason. But so there was an instance of someone, not even in my chat, in a different chat, someone had a rebrand and they had a name change. So I wanted to say, hey, wait, pronoun check. And it was what I expected, but just wanted to make sure they weren't getting misgendered. So some joker was just like, unfunny thing, like very childish, and it was just like, I don't think you understand the point of this. Yeah, but everyone I've met who has pronouns is like, everyone you know has pronouns, including you. It's so funny that people, they're like, well, why do they matter? Oh, they're those pronouns? Like, bitch. Please. Anyone who gets misgendered wants to be corrected, or wants to correct the other person. Like, it's fucked up. And it's unfortunate that we live in a society that, even growing up with that level of like nonsense, it's stupid high school nonsense, truly. That's all I've ever equated it to. Some people just can't get out of that headspace. So it's been a lot, but I still think it's worth it to be yourself. Still, the best thing you can do for yourself, the most affirming thing you can do, is be genuine to yourself. I didn't think I would transition for the longest time. I had a lot of concerns that were valid. And it doesn't make me more trans because I'm transitioning. And given the shit I've had to go through, it's no wonder that a lot of people don't transition. And I'm far more amazed at everyone who has. Like, there's just so much. There's so many guidelines and rules and structure in place. It's not the easy take a pill, then you're done kind of situation that the far right seems to think it is. I am well over a year, possibly into my second year of transition. It's slow. It takes time. There's a lot of things to keep track of. Only just recently getting it to a reasonable level. It's so much that, like, any person who didn't really want it wouldn't put themselves through it. And it's okay to have regrets. It's okay to, like, want to change your mind after the fact, especially in the current climate. I understand it. Everyone should have all of the options available to them. If there were more space for kids to be whoever they want, to experiment, to have their own lives and likes and desires, it's amazing what social norms beat out of people. Like, my ex had a kid who loved Frozen. I think they now, but all the same, male presenting child, liked Frozen a whole lot and did homeschool for a number of years. But when he got to public school, he got picked on a lot for liking Frozen. I know a lot of people like that movie. I know a lot of people like musicals. I tried to reassure the kid, like, hey, even men worked on this film. Like, it's okay to like things. Like what you like. It's unfortunate that kids are so predatory. Like, how can you like that? Like, it's easy. It's good. Like, I don't know. I never understood the bullying nature of kids. But there's that sense of egocentrism. So because they don't like it, you must be wrong. So maybe that's just it. That's all that there really is to it. And they don't have concepts of other people having different likes or interests. It's unfortunate. Truly. So, be yourself. Like what you like. Don't hide what you like either. Like, I, as a teen, and even into my 20s, to some extent, would absolutely hide just how into video games I am. Like, obviously, I'm not gonna play a game while my partner is there in the room, just because we should be doing something together. But if that's something but that could be a shared thing. Like, if we just wanted parallel play, or they have something they need to do for a while, or, some people like watching. That's the whole streaming concept. Like, sometimes there's more to the situation and different ways to engage. Like, so it's all about figuring out how to meet people's needs without giving up your own. A more simple concept is I have neck issues. So when cuddling, you get into pretty bad neck situations. It's pretty common. I know, like, there are a lot of people who, after cuddling for a while, end up getting a stiff neck. And that makes sense. It's understandable. But for me, that has a bigger rippling effect. So being able to say, hey, I need to switch positions. I still want to cuddle. Like, that's not the issue. I just want to, like, be in a different position so I don't hurt later. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Let's do this. Like, sweet. So, but the difference is communicating that. If you just get up and, like, move around, it's like, you'll be greeted with a, hey, what's wrong, kind of a situation, or if they don't communicate, there's just, like, resentment or lack of understanding of the whole situation. It's wild. So I hope people can be their best self. I hope they can communicate well, and hope it's good. I should make a command about this, but this is backyard progression for me. This is my backwoods. I every Wednesday kind of do a little walkthrough. So this is last week, and in about a minute or two, I'm going to be switching over to this week's video. I do a lot of work out here. I try to do my best to take the lessons I learn in working outside and apply them to life. And there's a lot of nature that feels ill-represented in many other places. I know Silicon Valley, where a lot of video games get made, end up with not exactly 4 seasons. I don't know exactly what they get, but because I have all 4 seasons, you get the full display of nature at its core, and just how different things can change from week to week. So I love showing that off. I think it's a great concept. So that's where that video ends. Let's grab this week. Ta-da! Okay. So, this week. It's currently kind of drizzling. The blackberries need to get trimmed because they've started to age out. I showed off a little bit in the last video at the very start that when a blackberry plant changes its base color, the stalk that initially sends out different leaves and everything, ones that are older and are not going to produce next year end up being they're not going to produce berries. It's unfortunate, so you got to trim those down. The natural color ends up being a nice green. It's very healthy looking, but even those we want to trim to make sure they flower the best. So it's tricky. I'm not quite sure. It's amazing the things you get handed down from people. I grew up on this farm. And I spent very limited time with my grandfather. But he worked till the day he died, and it's understandable. Working outside definitely helps in ways other than just being physically active. You end up using a lot more of your body and a lot more muscles than you'd expect than you do on flat, solid surfaces of the modern world. Just even the ground being unlevel gives your heels and feet a lot more exercise than the average person gets. Having to high step over different stuff on the ground or even jumping, climbing. It's it's amazing the like base stuff that the average person doesn't really equate to like things we even naturally think of in games. Like when you can't jump in a game, you notice. But if you couldn't jump in real life, it's very rare you get into a situation where that would matter. And most of us don't. Like, for the most part, jumping is limited to sports. Yeah, just sports. And not even all of the sports. But our bodies are made to do a lot of things. We spend a lot of time watching things and engaging with activities that are not exactly healthy for us. I follow an author by the name of Katie Bowman, who's a biomechanist. I love her work. She does a lot of fantastic books. Her books are so easy to read. But core concept is that our bodies adapt and change to the things that we do. So if you spend all day looking at a computer, your body's going to get used to that and try to like form you into a person who does that. That isn't exactly healthy. So you get that nearsightedness, you get the spinal issues. It's amazing. And unfortunate in some different ways, because even I get stuck in this where there's really good content that you want to watch, and it sucks you in. People make amazing content now, and there's so much. It's so hard to keep up with everything. It's a far cry from having 4 stations, and most of them don't have anything good on. So Gen X and even some millennial childhoods end up working out and looking very different than they do now. Oh boy. So I think it's important to get out. I think it's important to kind of give homage to our natural body. Making sure we engage with the things that we're supposed to be doing. I hope everyone can get out there and jump. Like, that's a simple thing. Everyone can do it, right? Except for, those who can't. No shame on people who don't have the ability to jump. It's okay. But people who are physically disabled have their own stuff going on, and I think they have a better reverence for some of the stuff that we don't actively do. but their life experience is just as valid. Their physical capabilities end up being very different from the average person's. And not necessarily in bad ways. It's... Oh, so here's the major thing about this week. All the apples have started falling. All of our orchardy trees are dropping their fruit, so they're hitting full ripeness. And very soon we're going to have some very drunk bunnies and deer and raccoons. So that's always fun. They just let the fruit naturally ferment. It's wonderful. So I find it upsetting that more places don't just have fruit trees. Sure, they could make a mess, but that mess is also just food for people and animals alike. Unfortunately, it's the animal section that gets people, so they'd shun the ability for the average person to just grab a snack off a nearby tree for a very limited point of the year, but rather have a decorative tree that doesn't do anything. It's rough. But that's life right now. Hopefully it changes. So I'm soaking wet here. I'm tired of the mess. So I think I take a bit of a detour from my usual path here. And we're actually just going to walk in the dry creek bed. Because even though it's raining, it's not the kind of rain we need. We need actual pouring rain to get the creek running again. So even though it's raining, we're still in the drought. So be aware of life's little paradoxes. You never know who or what you might be turning off. So thank you for watching. This is going to be the end of the YouTube video. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. I appreciate everyone who is watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, be sure to follow via !2. And I'm going to do a little something different after the fact. But again, thank y'all for watching. Appreciate everyone who's been here. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, do the whole thing.